When a pick-me girl gets picked, a cautionary tale, aka the Hailey Bieber story. Hello everyone, I'm Sarah from Everyday Starlet. Welcome to my channel. I make videos to inspire you to be the star of your own life. Hailey Bieber has been a big topic of conversation lately, and I have a video talking about the Justin, Hailey, Selena drama. It's actually from before, actually just before Hailey and Justin announced they were having a baby together. So it's from a little while ago. I stand by what I said in the video. If you want to check out that video, I'll link it to this one. But it seems like kind of the Hailey, Selena, Justin drama kind of resurfaces every so often. So I wanted to talk about it. One of the reasons why they're talking about Hailey Bieber again on the internets is because of this Hailey Bieber 7-part series. If you haven't heard about this, people are talking about it all over TikTok. I had a hard time finding it, even though everybody seemed to be talking about it. Basically, it's like a YouTube video that somebody broke up into clips of 7 parts that you can watch on TikTok. If you want to watch it on TikTok and you want to look up the Hailey Bieber 7-part series, which seems to be trending all over TikTok, I thought it was really hard to find that way. If you want to actually watch the whole thing, which it's not that long, it's actually the video that was clipped up into 7 parts is actually only like a 20-minute video. It's on the YouTube channel Internet Oddities, and it is actually called Hailey Bieber's Dangerous Decade-Long Obsession. And in that video, they also reference another video on the YouTube channel Meep, M-E-E-P. This is actually a video from, it says 5 years ago. The video is Storytime, Hailey Bieber stalked Justin Bieber in NYC with receipts. And that video is only about 10 minutes. I'm not gonna dive into everything that they talk about in those videos, but they're pretty easy to find on YouTube, and they're pretty quick videos, about a half hour of your life if you want to kind of get up to speed. But basically, it's kind of implying that Hailey Bieber stalked Justin Bieber and kind of Selena Gomez as well for about 10 years before she ended up marrying Justin. They keep calling Hailey a stalker. I would actually say she's like an extreme version of a pick-me girl. I'll get into my definitions of that in a minute. But before I get into this, a few disclaimers that I want to talk about. First of all, I don't know anybody in this video. I don't know anybody personally. I don't have any like insider information. Like, I am just basing my analysis on the situation and these celebrities based on public information that is available to everybody. I don't know what anybody is like behind closed doors. I also want to add in a disclaimer, and I mentioned this actually in my last video that was about Meghan and Harry and their relationship and the way the media reacts to Meghan Markle specifically, but I just want to emphasize that while I'm not saying that anything in these like Hailey Bieber videos is necessarily false information, I have no reason to believe it's either true or false. We don't know. However, I would highly suggest you take everything you see on social media with a grain of salt. Not necessarily that any of these things are even false information. Some of them might be, some of them might be true. I don't know. I find in situations like this, especially when you're talking about kind of a love triangle, which is kind of what's going on here with the Justin, Hailey, Selena situation, there's usually more to the story than just like a simple explanation. So I just urge you to take everything in the videos that you see online, that you see in the media, with a grain of salt, because a lot of people are so quick to jump to conclusions. Big thing I learned from making my last video about Meghan Markle, Sussex, Blatt and Windsor is that people are very black and white about a lot of celebrities and a lot of topics in general now. I like to approach topics with a lot of nuance, and I've discovered, I feel like on YouTube, a lot of people that watch my content, like, you get it, like you understand that I look at topics from different angles, and I try not to get completely all in or all out on any one person. I try to look at the nuance of a situation and the both and. I'm kind of discovering that on some social media, like on TikTok, people don't want the nuance. People want the black and white. They want the yes, the no. They want the like definitive answers. And I just don't believe life is like that. While there is a lot of very damning evidence that Hailey Bieber has some stalkerish qualities, I would actually encourage you to not jump on a bandwagon of attacking someone, especially someone where a lot of this information that's coming out about Hailey and how she pursued Justin, she was a very, very young girl, and to not jump to too many conclusions when none of us really know the whole story. Justin may not even know the whole story, to be honest with you. Anyway, Just wanted to start out with that. So again, some people are calling Hailey a stalker. I would actually say that Hailey is an extreme pick-me girl. When I talk about a pick-me girl, I just want to be very clear. I don't use the term pick-me girl as like a derogatory term. I use it as an explanation of essentially anytime you find a woman who is so desperate for a man, a relationship, male attention, male validation, that she's willing to do anything to get that. Even if it's compromising herself, compromising other women, compromising her or other women's safety, like she just doesn't care. It's literally anything to be picked, to be chosen. And I actually feel for women like that because I feel like I've been that woman at times in my life. I feel like most women today have had some kind of pick-me-like behavior at some point in our lives. I think our society really perpetuates that from women. I talk about a pick-me girl and I reference a woman who's showing pick-me behavior or things like that. I don't say it to just hurl out insults at people. I say it because I want to bring awareness to that kind of behavior so that as women we can heal from it. That's actually why I created my Recovering Pick Me Girl guided journal, because this actually has some explanations of the different pick me girl archetypes. I have a video that goes into my list of pick me girl archetypes, and this actually has like tons of journal prompts in here and a lot of different ways that pick me behavior can show up in your life. I've had really great feedback on this journal, so I highly recommend you check this out. If someone wants to send this to Hailey, I think that would be very helpful for her. And if you're someone who's sitting there and saying, well, but Hailey got picked, Hailey got the ring, Hailey got the husband, and Hailey got the man, please pick up this journal because you desperately need it. Okay, so first of all, in the Hailey Bieber 7-part series YouTube video that everyone's talking about as like Hailey's stalker obsession, things like that, take Selena out of it for a second. I am completely under the belief that behind every crazy woman is a man who made her that way. Now, was it Justin specifically that made her that way? I don't know. Was it maybe her dad, or some people are saying the church, because a lot of her kind of crazy behavior seems to be linked to other members of her church. And again, I'm not going to dive into the whole religious aspect because I don't know a ton about Hailey and her church, but it does seem like there were some people in her life that were enabling her behavior. It does seem like Hailey had a thing for Justin at a very young age. Justin was a heartthrob. He was a heartthrob pop star. He was kind of like the Beatles of his day. So like Hailey having a crush on Justin as a teenage girl and him being a teenage boy, not unusual. A lot of teenage girls did. And the fact that we're calling Hailey's behavior at that age of like trying to figure out where Justin was on tour, trying to figure out like how she could meet him and things like that. Like she was like 15, 16 years old. Not unusual for a teenage girl to get that kind of an obsessive crush on a celebrity. The difference in Hailey's case is that Hailey, being a Baldwin from the iconic Hollywood Baldwin family, which I know some people are gonna think of, like they think of the Baldwins, they think of like Alec and Hilaria, and they've kind of become a joke, and like nobody really respects Stephen Baldwin now and this whole kind of situation, whatever you think about them, like the Baldwin family is an iconic family in Hollywood. Hailey being, you know, a Baldwin in Hollywood does give her a certain level of status. You know, while many teenage girls may have wanted to sort of stalk Justin, Hailey being from a famous family, having a famous name, and coming from a family where she had more money and resources, she was more able to follow through on that. I don't love the fact that, first of all, I don't love the fact that I'm seeing a lot of people, like when they show pictures of Hailey when she was like, you know, like a 15-year-old girl and stuff, when she was first kind of like meeting Justin and things like that, people are really making fun of her looks, and that gets under my skin. Like no, she was a child. She was a teenage girl, and the idea that we're making fun of her looks I think is absolutely sick. I'm just gonna say that. But people are acting as if this girl at 15, 16 years old, when she was kind of like trying to meet Justin, there's evidence that she was befriending a Justin super fan in order to find out like where Justin was staying and like what hotel he was staying at and things like that. People are acting as if she's some kind of like international spy mastermind. She was a 15-year-old girl. She's not known for being some kind of like genius or anything. So the idea that we're acting like she, 15 years old, she was able to stalk this pop star on her own and had this sort of like mastermind plan to have him be hers or something like that at like 15. It's kind of crazy. Like, it's a little insane. This whole conversation where we talk about everything that Hailey was doing to try to meet Justin and things like that, I don't think that all of this strategy that she had is actually like some kind of like teenage stalker savant or anything like that. So I think some of it is a little exaggerated. That said, if any of you watched the movie Almost Famous, groupies, like celebrity groupies, will go to great lengths to meet their celebrity crushes and things like that. Again, I'm not saying it's healthy, but we also have to remember that when we start talking about Hailey and she's first trying to like meet Justin and show up in places with Justin, and she's trying to befriend people that are friends with Justin and all these kind of things, we have to remember we're talking about like a 15, 16-year-old girl here. Okay, we're not talking about some kind of like international spy mastermind, and I think sometimes we need to get some perspective with that. Another part of this story I feel like gets left out of the conversation. I know some people have pointed out that a lot of her behavior, like kind of her questionable behavior, is tied to people in her church. And again, I'm not that familiar with her church, so I'm not going to dive into that, but I do think that's probably a factor, and I will acknowledge that, because it does seem strange, because again, she is a child essentially when some of this stuff is happening, and the fact that it seems like there are sort of adults in her life, her father, other people at her church that are adults that should be watching her, don't seem to be, and almost seem to be perpetuating this. And I think that that's something that probably should be looked at more. But I also think that we also forget to factor in what Justin was doing in this scenario. This is a theory of mine. Just a theory. I'm just gonna throw it out there. But Hailey's obsession with Justin and trying to take out Selena is giving Hailey as the girl that wanted Justin. Justin pretended to be into her to get what he wanted from her. She gave him what he wanted. And then he went back to Selena, who was the girl he really wanted, and Hailey felt rejected, and Hailey was like, no, I have to win him back. I think people forget how much a teenage girl can get manipulated. Her obsession with Justin and then trying to take out Selena and this obsession with them, to me, that kind of obsession often comes from Justin was giving her hope because he wanted to get what he wanted from her. She was an attractive girl, and that's where the obsession started. I don't think that she would have necessarily had the same, like, this level of obsession with like taking out Selena and like winning Justin and stuff. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think she would have had this level of like trying to get him if he hadn't at certain points given her an indication that he was into her, probably to get what he wanted from her and then flip the script. That's what that's giving to me. And maybe I'm personalizing on it because I mean, I've never gone to this level of obsession, but like I've been in that situation where a guy acts interested, you're like, oh, he's totally into me, so like you get into him, and then he flips the script on you because he got what he wanted and he disappears, and you're just like, you start to get obsessed with him because you want back that guy that you thought he was originally, who you thought was into you. I've fallen for that too, and I think especially young girls, that's really common. So that's a factor that I wish people looked at more, is like in this whole scenario of like analyzing what Hailey was doing and analyzing how she was reacting to Justin and Selena and stuff. What was Justin's behavior like with Hailey, and like what was he telling her? Like, how was he acting towards her? Was he always just kind of like not into her and like not paying attention to her? Always just totally into Selena and like not giving Hailey the time of day? And was he kind of like consistently acting like he wasn't into her? Or was he giving Hailey hope, knowing that she was into him, to get what he wanted from Hailey, and then dropped her to go back to the girl he really wanted? And I'm not saying that Hailey shouldn't have walked away from that situation, because she should have, absolutely. Hailey's beautiful, and she was a Baldwin, for God's sake. She could have had a great career and a great modeling career, and I think she probably could have been famous. I think she probably had a bright future ahead of her. She wouldn't be the first girl that would have kind of gave all that up to follow around a guy that she was obsessed with who wasn't really that into her. And she was so young. Like, we forget she was like 24 when she got married. So this whole thing with her getting obsessed with Justin and everything, like she was a child when this whole thing started. Justin was a kid too, but I feel like we focus on the Hailey Selena feud and that drama, and we don't actually look at, okay, what was Justin's behavior in this whole situation? And if Justin really loved Selena, as we all think that he did, and we all think that he was obsessed with Selena and everything, and Hailey is doing this, she's stalking her, she's trying to emulate her, as the videos imply and things like that. Where was Justin in this? Like, if Justin really loves Selena, why wasn't he protecting Selena? Like, where was Justin in all of this? And I firmly believe Justin, based on all of his behavior and everything that he's doing and his actions and things, I think Justin has some serious deep-rooted issues. I think he's got problems. I'm gonna take a guess there's some kind of substance abuse. Wouldn't be shocking for, you know, somebody in the industry who's been in the industry as long as him. I'm sure that there's trauma going on here. And again, I don't want to start speculating, and I think we all know that there's probably some Diddy trauma and things like that. We often are pitting Hailey and Selena against each other, and we're not actually focusing on, like, okay, what was Justin doing in this time period? Like, what was Justin telling Selena? What was Justin telling Hailey? Like, what was he doing in this situation to fuel this? And I think we're really quick to focus on these girls, especially what Hailey was doing when Hailey was, I mean, when she started this out, she was a child. And I want to point out that, again, what Hailey is doing is extreme, but she's also somebody who comes from a famous family. She's got access to a lot more money and resources and all these things to kind of be a little bit crazier, and being a Baldwin and ending up dating Justin and stuff, she's less able to, like, fly under the radar. But a lot of people who are being very judgy about the things that Hailey has done, like, I grew up in a time period where my teenage crazy was not on social media, so there's no record of my teenage crazy. I didn't do anything necessarily, like, to the extreme of what Hailey was doing, but, like, I'm glad that some of my teenage obsessive craziness is not preserved for the world to see, because I wasn't famous, but also there wasn't social media. So I think oftentimes when we start getting into the judgments of Hailey, and, you know, at the end of the day, like, you can think what you want about Hailey, I don't care. When we start getting into all these judgments about how this young girl handled a crush, I think we might want to take a look at, would you want somebody bringing up all your teenage craziness and having that held against you for the rest of your life? Just fair to point out. Now, I realize that Hailey's craziness did seem to get more intense, and I'm going to get into that, but it's just something I want to point out because I think it's something fair to note, and I want to give a balanced view here, because I do think that Hailey has done some things wrong, and a lot of things wrong, but I also think it's fair to point out that we've all had a little crazy in us, especially when we're still teenagers. Now, as I mentioned in my last video about Meghan and Harry, and there are rumors that Meghan Markle actually tried to emulate Princess Diana in order to kind of, like, evoke a feeling of home and familiarity in Prince Harry. Again, they're rumors, no idea if they're true or not, but as I mentioned in that video, that's actually not a completely uncommon seduction technique. And I think you also are seeing that in the Hailey, Justin, Selena situation, where there's a lot of evidence that Hailey was kind of trying to, like, be like Selena. This stuff kind of started when Hailey was a teenager, and teenage girls do often emulate other girls in an attempt to find themselves. So I don't necessarily think that that's, like, a completely unusual thing. I do think that Hailey took it to another level, and the fact that she was so public about it. But it did seem like Hailey was really, I mean, there's a lot of evidence that Hailey is copying Selena, and if you actually look it up, like, I was the first person to be like, I don't know, they're in the same age group, like, trends are similar, like, maybe it's not that serious. But the more evidence I was seeing, the more I'm like, okay, Hailey really was obviously trying to copy Selena. Some instances that people are pulling up I think might be a stretch, like, you're just kind of looking for it, but there's enough evidence out there that it does seem like Hailey was trying to emulate Selena in a lot of ways. Do I think she was trying to be Selena? I don't know. I don't really think so. But it did seem like Hailey was trying to win a man, Justin, by becoming his ideal woman, which appears to be Selena Gomez. Seems like Selena was his first love. Seems like that's the woman that he puts up on a pedestal. They were back and forth for so long. As I said with the Meghan and Harry situation and the rumors that Meghan was trying to emulate Princess Diana so that she could evoke feelings of a mother figure in Prince Harry to win him over. Speculation, but again, it's a rumor. And as I said before, that's a common seduction technique, not unheard of. There's been books written about using that as a seduction technique. It is also common for a woman, or anybody really, to, if they have someone they want to seduce, to become that person's, like, ideal lover, that their ideal vision of what they think that they want. Whether it be, again, like in the case that's rumored about Meghan and Harry, that she was evoking Diana to bring out that feeling of home and like a motherly figure, or in the case of Hailey and Justin, like potentially being like his first love, like the woman that he put up on a pedestal as being like the love of his life, so to speak. And those are just a few ways that that can play out, but that is a seduction technique. A lot of people have said that's manipulative. Yeah, seduction's manipulative. Like I said in the last video, if you're gonna seduce someone, you're manipulating them. Seduction is manipulative. Sometimes it can be relatively harmless in the sense that, you know, maybe both people are on board with this dance of seduction, and so you're not really hurting anybody, but you are manipulating them. And if both people are kind of on board with this kind of manipulation, then great. But it can get harmful very quickly. And as I said in the Meghan Harry video, like if you are evoking a man's mother, whether intentionally or unintentionally, you're gonna bring up his mommy issues and you're gonna have to deal with that. If you are, say in the Hailey Justin situation, trying to evoke his ideal woman or something, you're gonna have to keep pretending that you're somebody else in order to keep him interested, which is going to be exhausting for you. This kind of seduction of kind of becoming a man's ideal woman, whether it be evoking a mother figure or evoking his first love or his ideal woman, it could also be evoking like an archetype. I mean, this is actually something that has been rumored. The book The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene talks about Cleopatra used to emulate Aphrodite. I think it was Aphrodite, to evoke a goddess so that men would see her as the goddess that they worshipped and stuff. Like this idea of a woman evoking a certain figure in a man's life, or a certain archetype, or a certain celebrity, or some kind of figure or something like that. Like that's not uncommon. It's actually a very, very common seduction technique. And it's actually something that's been happening for centuries, especially when women want to seduce very powerful men. And it can be a very effective tool if your goal is just to get that man. But it is pick-me behavior, because you're basically doing these things to get picked. Like you just want this man to pick you. Maybe just in the temporary, because maybe you're just trying to get something from him, or maybe in the long term you're trying to win this man over. This is why I don't like that kind of seduction, because it requires a woman to put on a facade that isn't her true self. If you as a woman, because I believe that all women have archetypes within us. We have so many different feminine flavors within us, and I firmly believe it's healthy for all women to connect to all those archetypes within us. I have videos about the feminine archetypes. I have a guided journal about the dark feminine archetypes, which there's light feminine and dark feminine. They're both great. They're both important to have. I think the dark feminine are kind of more fun, but like at the end of the day, like there's so many different archetypes that are within us as women. We just need to tap into them. They're within you. It's just a matter of like finding those parts of yourself. So if, for example, you have a man you're interested in, or a man in your life or something, and you know that he would really be drawn to your like sensual lover energy, then evoking your sensual lover energy, like what that looks like and feels like for you to attract that man to you, very healthy. That's great, actually. That's what you should be doing, right? You tap into the archetype within you that is who you truly are. And for some women that can be difficult, but you know, tuning into that to draw that man to you, that can be very healthy, because the feminine magnetizes, the feminine attracts, the feminine doesn't chase, the masculine pursues, the feminine attracts, okay? So that's totally normal, because you're actually just finding yourself and your true self, and your true self is going to attract a man to you. And if that man is not attracted to your true self, he's not the man for you, okay? So that's great. But when you start to put on a facade, like you're trying to evoke, like you're trying to copy a man's mother or his first love, or you're trying to like copy some kind of image that you think is what he wants. If he's drawn to you, he's not really drawn to you. He's drawn to the fake facade that you have put on to impress him. And you either have to spend the rest of your life keeping that up, which is going to be exhausting for anyone, or you have to let your guard down and hope that he still wants you, which in a lot of cases he probably won't. And he probably will feel misled, which in reality he is. I'm speaking to this in terms of how women do this to men. Men manipulate women in this way all the time, like all the time, like it's rampant. The seduction techniques that men use to manipulate women are rampant, and that could be a whole video in itself. So I'm mostly talking about it in terms of women and how they're seducing men, because that's just the topic of this video when it comes to kind of the Hailey and Justin dynamic. In reality, it becomes a pick-me-girl behavior, because pick-me-girl behavior is when you will do anything, you'll compromise anything just to get picked by a man. And if you have to pretend to be someone that you're not just to get a man to pick you, you're not being fair to yourself. Like, you're not being true to yourself and who you really are. And to a certain extent, I kind of feel bad for Hailey, because I feel like she's never really gotten a chance to figure out who she is as a person. I'm also gonna say, I don't believe that this, because again, this is an ancient seduction technique, I don't believe that a 15-year-old girl just figured all this stuff out on her own. I think she had people around her that were enabling her. Maybe it was her family, maybe it was people from her church, I don't know. But I believe she had people around her that were manipulating her into, you know, I don't know if it was specifically to copy Selena or to take out Selena or to whatever, like I don't know specifically if it was that, but I just don't believe a 15-year-old girl all of a sudden becomes this master seductress. I know there's gonna be people that are gonna say, but Hailey got the guy, Hailey won the guy, Hailey got the ring. I wish women would stop thinking that a man picking you, a man marrying you, a man giving you a ring, it means you've won. Because you have to look at the quality of the relationship. You have to look at how a man treats you. And let's be real, all the evidence shows that Justin does not like Hailey. It breaks my heart to say this, because they're so young and they have a child now, and I don't want this to be true for anybody. So I don't like saying this, but there is so much evidence that Justin does not like Hailey at all. Now, I don't like the fact that we're making it seem like Hailey is this evil person that like seduced Justin into marriage and seduced Justin into picking her, but then we're making it sound like Justin, who's 2 years older than Hailey, is just this like innocent bystander, and he didn't know, and he was so young, and he was just manipulated into this, and what could he do? Like, again, if you're gonna argue that like Hailey was an adult and she knew what she was doing, then Justin was an adult and he knew what he was doing. Like I've said a million times before, I do not like that we keep holding women to a higher standard than we hold men to. Like that we think that Hailey, starting at 15 years old, was this kind of seductive mastermind who manipulated poor Justin into eventually marrying her and having a baby, and act like Justin is this whole like innocent bystander in this whole situation. Again, you guys think that Hailey was a threat to Selena? If Justin really loved Selena, why didn't he nip the whole thing with Hailey in the bud a long time ago? You know, I mean, at a certain point, like, you do have to also hold the man accountable. Like, we have this allergy to holding men accountable in our society, and we only seem to put all the blame on women. But that's a whole other rabbit hole. But there's just too much evidence that Justin does not like Hailey. There's too much evidence of that, and it's heartbreaking. Because I actually don't think Hailey at her core is like a bad person. I think she's just been really misled from a really young age. And I also think, I mean, she's a beautiful girl. She was a Baldwin. She came from a famous family. I mean, she was a model. So like, I feel like she could have ended up in a relationship with a guy who really wanted to be with her, but she just isn't. Justin has joked that their relationship was like an arranged marriage. I don't think that was really a joke. I think there's some truth to that. I think he feels like this was and maybe this is a PR thing, as I mentioned in my other video about them. I think there's some evidence that she might kind of be his handler in some ways, of like, you know, she's the one that's supposed to kind of keep him in line, so to speak. Again, I don't really know the deal with that, but I think that there might be some evidence to that. But again, the fact that he's joking about that, and she's his wife, so talking about her like that publicly. I've seen some footage of like them trying to escape paparazzi, and like they're trying to get away, and like she trips and falls and he like keeps running, and I'm like, oh my god, like your wife trips and falls and you just keep going. Or like other footage of him like getting out of a car, and like she's trying to get out of the car behind him, and he just like slams the door and like doesn't even realize she's there or doesn't care. That is not how a man who loves his wife treats her. Like, he does not love her. It's heartbreaking because they have a kid. As I said in my last video, before they announced their pregnancy, I was hoping that they would not have kids, but I figured they probably would. Justin obviously has some trauma, and he's got some issues. He is the classic man-child. He is not grown up. For the people that are saying like Hailey won because she got the wedding, she got the marriage, she got the ring, she won a man who doesn't actually want her. And that's what happens when pick-me's get picked. They get picked by men who just give them the shut up ring and who don't really want to be with them. Part of it is because if you as a woman, and I say this all the time, I get pushback from people, you as a woman never even make the first move with a man. You have to make a man work for you, and if he doesn't work for you, he's not your man. I know women are gonna be like, no, I have to go for what I want, so guys gonna be like, no, we love it when a woman makes things easier for us. And you're gonna attract a lazy man who doesn't actually like you. Here's the thing, men only appreciate that which they had to earn. Women only appreciate that which they weren't expected to earn. So if you as a woman are chasing a man, you're trying to earn his love, you're never gonna appreciate it because you had to earn it. You had to work for it. A man is never gonna appreciate you because he didn't have to earn it. And men only appreciate that which they had to earn. So if you are a pick-me girl, if you are chasing after a man, if you are making things easier for a man, you're making a man's life easier, he's not going to appreciate it because he has not had to earn you. Justin does not appreciate Hailey because he knows she chased after him. He didn't have to earn her. She was a classic pick-me girl. She desperately needed to be picked. It's so heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking because there's a kid involved, and if they stay together, you're gonna have a child that's gonna grow up seeing parents that don't really like each other and don't have a healthy relationship. If they do split, then you have a child of divorced parents, which, you know, has its own downfall. But oh my God, like again, whether you think that Hailey's a stalker or not, I think she's an extreme pick-me girl. Yes, she got what she wanted, and I've seen women like, yes, go for what you want, get what you want, like cheering her on. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Winning a man who doesn't really want you is not winning. It's actually losing. If you chase a man and you catch him, congratulations, you've just caught a man you had to chase. And he doesn't really appreciate you because he's never going to appreciate that which he hasn't had to earn. Ladies, stop chasing men. Stop going after men. Stop making the first move. And I know there's going to be people out there, I've heard this statement before, like, when a woman approaches a man first, 80% of the time it ends in marriage. Yeah. Because a man knows the woman is desperate, so he'll probably marry her because he knows he can take advantage of her because she's desperate. I know we all want to pretend that men and women are the same. We all want to act like men and women are the same, like there's no difference. We all want to pretend that that's true. It's not true. A woman making a first move, chasing a man, pursuing a man, even initiating anything with a man will always appear desperate. It always will. If you as a woman, if you pursued a man, if you made the first move, if you initiated things with your man, even if he married you, I don't care if you've been together for 20 years, he is either too lazy to go after the woman he really wants, or he will drop you in a heartbeat if he gets the opportunity with a woman he really wants. I hate to break it to you, but that's just reality. And I feel like too often women are fed this lie that men and women are the same. So if you're a woman, go for what you want, go after what you want, like make the first move and, you know, get yours and things like that. The Hailey Bieber situation is an extreme case of that. It's perpetuating pick-me behavior. Because like you going after a man is pick-me behavior because you're literally like begging a man to pick you because you're going after him. Making the first move is pick-me behavior. Do not be a pick-me. Ladies, own your worth. Own your worth. Do not pursue a man. Do not go after a man. Don't chase a man. Definitely don't pretend to be someone that you're not just to get a man, because you're never gonna get the man that you're really meant to be with that way. You're gonna get a man that just wants somebody else. He may take advantage of you. He might use you for everything he can get because he knows that you're desperate. It will never not look desperate if you pursue a man. It always looks desperate when women pursue men. That's just the reality of things. It's biology, it's nature, it is what it is. A man has to pursue you, and if he doesn't pursue you, he's not your man. And I know that there's gonna be guys who are gonna be like, well, what if the guy's just shy? What if the guy's just scared? You don't want that man. You do not want a man who's too shy to talk to you, who's too scared to talk to you, because frankly, that is not a man who's gonna feel safe to be in a relationship with. If he's not pursuing you, he's not your man. Plain and simple. Now, I realize that Hailey's situation is extreme, and most women don't have that level of obsession and that level of resources even to pursue a man like that, but I'm willing to bet that probably most women have had some Hailey Bieber in them at a certain point in their life, as far as kind of having an obsession with a guy, maybe even trying to emulate another woman or something in order to win over that guy. I'm willing to bet most women, if you're really honest with yourself, will admit that they've had some of that, maybe when they were younger, things like that. If you are ready to work on that part of yourself, I highly recommend you check out my Recovering Pick Me Girl Guided Journal, because it goes into so many different aspects of being a pick me girl. It can be very subtle, and most women have some level of pick me girl behavior in us because it's so ingrained in us in society. And if you're worried about a man, you know, just giving you a shut up ring, or you're, you know, like not being a man's dream girl or something like that, like I highly recommend you check out this guided journal, because it'll be so helpful in finding the areas of your life where you're like not being true to yourself and you're living for other people or living to just be picked. And again, if you want to be in a relationship, that's totally normal. Like wanting to be partnered in a relationship, to, you know, find your community, to find people in your life, to find love with a man is not wrong at all. It's just a matter of knowing your worth, not settling, and also not being willing to compromise who you really are at your core and your standards and your values just to have that relationship. Also, if you want to tap into all your feminine archetypes, I have some videos on here about the feminine archetypes. I also have the Dark Feminine Energy Guided Journal that will help you tap into your dark feminine archetypes, which are a little bit more taboo, a little bit more difficult to connect to. So I highly recommend you check those out. I also have a longer video going into the Justin Haley relationship if you want to check out that video. I also have a lot of other videos on here about celebrity relationships and pick me girls and pick me girl behavior and things like that if you want to look into those. I'm also always open to video requests if you have them, so be sure you leave a comment in the comment section below. If you have any thoughts on this topic or any other topic suggestions, let me know. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please comment, like, subscribe. Honestly, any engagement on this channel helps to boost it in the algorithm so more people can get this message. If you want to check out my guided journals, links are in the description box below, along with links to courses, masterclasses, and all my social media accounts. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time.